Hi, I'm Jennifer Nicely with Pinnacle Real Estate Academy, and I'm here to give you an update about some contracts that are going to be changed, amended, or released this September 12th, which is our upcoming Tuesday. So I'm going to give you a brief overview so that you are aware that you can check this out at 12:01 a.m. on your Zip Forms account on Tuesday, September 12th. If you use Loop or any other systems for your forms, it will take a little bit to upload those because it is the responsibility of your broker in charge to re-upload the updated forms. But if you log into your Zip Forms, this is going to be updated automatically at 12:01. Now, a couple of things that they are changing. The listing agreement now has a checkbox in it, and you have to fill out which MLS you are going to be putting your property, your listing in. So is that the PD? Is that Coastal Carolina Realtors Association? Maybe it's Charleston or Charleston Trident. So you now have to fill in the blank of which MLS or MLSs that you are going to be using. Second form we're going to talk about is the release of a buyer's agency agreement and release of the listing agency agreement. What they've changed on this form is it is now the responsibility of your broker in charge to sign these releases. Remember, in pre-licensing, we talk about when you sign an agency agreement, it's actually an agreement with your firm or the personification of your firm, which is your broker in charge. Therefore, the only person who can release them from an agency agreement would be the broker in charge. So that form is going to change on Tuesday. Third form that's changing is the Vacation Rental Act. This form's always existed, but in the form it said you had 3 days to notify the buyer of any changes of rentals, additions to rentals, or if you are going to continue advertising that the property is for rent. And the contracts committee has changed that 3 days to now 14 days. So that seller has 14 days, or the property management company may have 14 days to notify that new buyer of any changes. Now, there's a new form that came out, and this form is going to be form number 545, and this is a backup contract addendum. Now, we had a form, and it's form 391, and there were a lot of different contingencies on form 391, and basically what they've done is they've picked out this information and put it on its own form. So you've had this content before, you've seen it before, but now it is its own addendum, and that addendum number is 545, and it is a backup contract addendum. Keep in mind, if you sign backup contracts, those are legitimate, ratified contracts. And so this is not a, in case anything happens, situation, you're here. No, it is an actual contract if the first one falls through. So if the first one falls through, you are automatically obligated to that backup because you signed the addendums and the contracts. Now, the second form we're going to talk about is form 546, and this is in addition to contingencies with kickout clauses. So let's say that the buyer had a backup contract on a property, and the seller has now decided that buyer number 1 has fallen through and buyer number 2 is taken over as primary. There wasn't a form for that. Now there is. So form 546 tells buyer number 2, hey, you're in the primary driver's seat now, and buyer number 1 is off the table. The next form we're going to talk about, and I do not have a form number for this, but it's talking about in-house listings. We've been talking about this law since 2017 when it was changed in our license law in South Carolina. And the law states that if a property is sold in-house, meaning let's say I'm a listing agent with ABC Realty, and John Doe, another real estate agent at ABC Realty, wants to purchase my listing, not my particular home, but my listing, and we both work in the same company, the seller has the right to decide whether or not they're going to pay this commission. There's never been a form for this. Our law said we had to do it, but there's never been a form for it. Now there is, as of Tuesday, September 12th. So be looking out for that one. The last form I'm going to talk about today is the termination of contract. This form is 313. Now, what this form has done, and this has been in existence, but they changed it a little bit, If they decide, buyer or seller, decide that they are going to terminate a contract, there are now 2 check boxes. And the first one says why you are terminating. Maybe it's financing, maybe it's due diligence, maybe it is an appraisal, whatever it may be, that's going to be your first check box. The second check box says, I don't really have a reason, one of the reasons above. However, we're going to terminate this thing and I'll see you in court. Basically what it says. So the termination agreement form 313 still remains the same, other than when you decide to terminate, you are to check a box what your goal is, why you're terminating. Are we going to see you in court? Are we suing you, or are we not? Now, there is one last form that is going to be changed. That's form 300 and 310, which is your purchase and sales agreement. But that's going to be part 2 of this video, because there's a lot of changes coming to that one, specifically talking about transfer fees and transaction fees. So think about paragraph 6. You're going to have a lot of options when it comes to that on Tuesday. Keep in mind, if you sign anything after September 12th, 2023, you have to use these new forms. If you use the old ones, they may not be the safest choice for you. So some attorneys may tell you, sure, you can go ahead and do it, we can defend it. Some attorneys may say, no, we want you to use the first or the newest one. So make sure that you check with your attorney, make sure you check specifically with your broker in charge which forms you want to use. But they change these forms and they update them for your and the public's protection. So know that there's a reason and look out for them again, September 12th. If you have any questions, as always, I'm here at Pinnacle Real Estate Academy to help.